Welcome back to the 480 experience. We are finally back with some Cardinals content. In today's episode, we're going to review the Cardinals preseason, how they looked going into this season. We're going to look at their schedule and make some predictions. Are they going to make the playoffs? We will find out in this video. And at the end, we will review their matchup against the New Orleans Saints for tomorrow's game. All right, so going into this preseason, the Cardinals had a lot of work to do coming off an 8-9 season, which was better than a lot of people said. It's about what I predicted. I predicted last season a 7-10 win season, and that is exactly what we got here, 8-9. But the way the Cardinals kind of looked at it, it was quite disappointing because of how good they were to start the year. They had so many opportunities late in the season, one-possession games, whether it was against the Vikings, the Rams, the Seahawks, so many games that were kind of thrown away by just little mistakes, and they're going to be looking to clean those up this year and get themselves into the playoffs. But going into last season was a very successful season due to the fact that in every statistical category, whether it be wins, points for, points against, defense, offense, any offense statistic, the Cardinals improved drastically from the year prior, meaning that Jonathan Gannon is doing his job well as Arizona Cardinals head coach. They finished 12th in points for actually last season. The offense was actually cooking for most of the season. It was just that stretch towards the end in which Kyler Murray and the offense couldn't get it going. We're going to talk about Kyler Murray a little bit later and what this season means to him. But overall, the Cardinals just weren't able to quite get it going towards the end of the season, but it was much a step up from the previous year. Points against the Cardinals were 15th, which if you had told me that going into last season, I would have taken every day of the week, especially with how questionable that secondary was going into the year. A lot of young guys, a lot of rookies, and they actually, for the most part, stepped up, mostly due to the amazing scheme drawn up by Nick Rallis. This is a guy who's going to be having head coaching offers starting at the end of this year. He's done a great job. And so let's review the offseason a little bit for the Cardinals. Let's start with the NFL draft. Me and Strider kind of touched on this a little bit in April when the draft came out, but now that we've had time to see some of these guys in preseason and in training camp, I'm going to kind of review what they did in the draft and what are these guys going to do for this season. So let's start with their first-round pick, Walter Nolan. So unfortunately, he is still dealing with a calf injury, and he's going to be out for at least the first 4 weeks, meaning it'll probably take him until about week 7 or 8 to really get in the flow of things, assuming his recovery goes well. So it's going to be a tough road ahead for Walter Nolan, but we're hoping that he can get back on the field for this Arizona Cardinals team. But I think the pick that we all want to talk about, and everyone's going to be talking about in Arizona, is Will Johnson in the second round. If we don't recall to my pre-draft video, I said I thought the Cardinals should have taken him at 16 in the first round. He fell to them at 47 in the second round, and I cannot be happier for the Arizona Cardinals. He is cornerback one immediately. He looked good in preseason, although on this first drive of the preseason, he did give up a touchdown and had a pass interference in the end zone. But that's what you want to see. You want to see a physical guy who's not going to take it from anybody, and I think Will Johnson's that guy. He's going to have at least 2 pick sixes this year. That is my prediction for him. And I think another guy that really looked good of our top few picks, Jordan Birch on the defensive line. He's going to get himself into the backfield. He's looked quite good in preseason. He may not start right away because of the experience that the Cardinals actually have on this D-line with some of the guys he brought in free agency, which we'll get to in a minute. But Jordan Birch is a guy for the future, and I think the Cardinals got it right. And Monty Ossenfort, once again, what a draft. He is one of the best GMs the Cardinals have had, or it's definitely the best they've had in a long time. And so I'm glad to see him seem to be hitting on all of his draft picks. And so let's talk about free agency for a second. Brought a couple of guys in that I really want to mention. The top two, obviously, Josh Sweat is a humongous addition for the Cardinals. The thing that the Cardinals defense struggled in a lot last year was on that defensive front. They weren't getting to the quarterback. And Josh Sweat is going to get to the quarterback for the Cardinals. That's what they need. And that is really what he's going to do. Now, another one, Calais Campbell is back. I know all of us Cardinals fans are so thrilled to see Calais Campbell back where he belongs in Arizona and are hoping that a Super Bowl ring may be on his finger this year. And so, also, we're going to talk about one guy that is probably the most important to the Cardinals' success this year, and it's going to be Kyler Murray. We're going to go into some of the returners, guys. Kyler Murray, this is a prove-it year for Kyler Murray. I'm a big Kyler Murray defender. I believe he can be the quarterback that wins this team their first Super Bowl. but something has got to improve. It's kind of been stagnant for the last few years. His overall record as Cardinals quarterback, 36, 45, and 1. It's a losing record. Now, you see some of the teams that he's had in Arizona, and you understand where he's coming from. There's a reason he was the number one pick, and the Cardinals had that number one pick. It was because some of those rosters were not quite good enough. However, I think it's been a little bit stagnant. His first year, obviously, was amazing. He was great. There's a reason he was Offensive Rookie of the Year and a Pro Bowler. But since then, it's been kind of stagnant. They were 5-10, 5-10-1, 8-8, 9-5 as a starter in 2021, the Cardinals' best season, and yet they still haven't won a playoff game. And so once again, this is a prove-it year for Kyler Murray. He had flashes last season in which he looked really good, but he's really got to clean up some of those interceptions. We saw it, especially in those two Seahawks games that they played. Kyler just couldn't get it going, and it just didn't look good. So this is a prove-it year for Kyler Murray. If the Cardinals don't make the playoffs or do not make a run at the Super Bowl, this may be Kyler Murray's last season in Arizona. I could absolutely see a world in which the Cardinals decide to move on for him after this year if they don't get it going. So this is a prove-it year for Kyler and that offense. And then just one more guy I want to touch on is Marvin Harrison Jr. You have to get him going. He is going to make a big impact. He could be the next Larry Fitzgerald. If you really look at it, their rookie seasons were quite similar, but Marvin Harrison Jr. just needs to get the football. And I watched him in preseason, especially in that game against the Chiefs. That first drive, Kyler looked amazing. I'm going to point that out. As bad as that interception was, Kyler looked amazing before that interception. And the one thing I saw that was really positive was the timing routes with Marvin Harrison Jr. He seems to have finally figured it out. I think those guys are in a connection. I think Marv has a big year, and that should hopefully lead to the Cardinals winning this season. And so let's go through the Cardinals' schedule. Let's review it a little. Let's make some predictions. Week 1, the Cardinals will take on the New Orleans Saints. I think the Cardinals will get the win in that particular game. The Saints are not the best team in the league, and so the Cardinals should start off strong. Going on to Week 2, the Carolina Panthers. Usually a tough one. The Cardinals don't really win at Carolina, and Bryce Young is the real deal, but Arizona, this is their year. They are going to beat Carolina. We're going to skip ahead to some other marquee matchups. Obviously, the Niners and the Seahawks in weeks 3 and 4. Hopefully, go 1-1 in those games and at least get a division win. And then we're going to move ahead all the way over to week 7 against the Green Bay Packers. Now, this will be a tough one, but it is at home, and the Cardinals have had the Packers numbers, so I'm going the Cardinals will win in Week 7 against the Packers, and then a game that all NFL fans will be rooting for, Arizona against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 9 on Monday Night Football. I think Dallas looked really good. This might be one of those first losses that the Cardinals take in this season. This may be the second or third loss. I think the Cardinals actually end up losing this game to Dallas. Moving ahead, I think the Cardinals will split with both the Seahawks and the 49ers, so they'll go 1-1 on both sides. That should help them. And if we move ahead to Week 17 against the Cincinnati Bengals, I think this is actually the biggest game of the season. This will decide whether the Cardinals will make the playoffs or not, and I believe they will. I think they actually get it done in Cincinnati in the cold. Kyler Murray finally proves why he's a real quarterback, and I think the Cardinals will eventually finish 11-6 and make the playoffs. And so, as I said, playoffs, I think that the prediction for the Cardinals this year, they are going to make the NFC Championship game. They are going to win 2 playoff games this season, one in Arizona and one on the road. And I believe that the Cardinals will eventually lose in the NFC Championship game. I do not know to who, but I don't think they're quite ready for that Super Bowl jump, but they are ready to compete for the Super Bowl. Kyler Murray is the real deal, and they are going to get it done. And so let's just take a little bit of a look at the Cardinals roster and why they're going to get it done. And I think the one area that they still improved a lot was the offensive line. Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be back and healthy as ever. And they've made some key additions on that O-line. Evan Brown, Isaiah Adams, Jonah Williams is back. And I think the Cardinals O-line is going to step up. And that's why Kyler's is going to be able to have a big year. And I think it's going to be key in this first game against New Orleans. We're going to talk about that here and where the Cardinals are going to be successful. The Cardinals are going to be successful running the football. Drew Petzing draws up one of the best run games in the league. The Cardinals averaged, I think, over 1.5 more yards per carry than 80% of NFL teams. So they are one of the best run games in the NFL, and that's what's going to help them in this game. The Saints aren't exactly the most talented team. I think that's actually a really good game to start with for this young defense, and I think they're going to be able to get it done on the road in New Orleans. Kyler Murray's going to throw for 300 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr. 150 yards and a touchdown. And the Cardinals will win by a score of 31-14. And so that wraps up today's episode of the 480 Experience. I'm Jacob Fredericks, and I'll see you guys next week.